Now let me tell you a secret. The world you perceive is nothing more than the outpicture in a way you have placed your focus. Everything in your world, every circumstance, every relationship, every material condition is the harvest of seeds you have sown with your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows and manifestation follows. You see the creative power that sleeps within you responds not to idle wishes or fleeting thoughts, but to the state upon which you have placed your focus with conviction. The Bible tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, but thinking is not enough. It is the sustained focus of thought imbued with feeling that reshapes your reality. I once knew a man who desired financial abundance. He would affirm daily, "I am wealthy," yet continue to dwell in thoughts of lack, scarcity, and limitation. His words proclaimed abundance, but his focus remained fixed on absence, and so absence persisted in his experience. His focus, you see, was divided. Now let me clarify what I mean by focus. Focus is not concentration that creates tension. True focus is the natural consequence of fascination. When you are fascinated by something, your attention is effortlessly drawn to it. This is the kind of focus that transforms. To create a new reality, you must become so fascinated with your desired state that it consumes your consciousness. You must live from it, view the world through its lens, and respond to life as though your desire were already an accomplished fact. This is the new level of focus required for manifestation. The great tragedy is that most people focus intently on what they do not want, and then marvel at why these unwanted things keep appearing in their lives. Do you not see? Whatever commands your focus multiplies in your experience regardless of whether you want it or not. The outer world is dead. It has no power to create, no power to cause. It is simply effect and echo, a shadow of your inner focus. Change your focus and you change your world. This is the law. Now, what does this new level of focus look like in practice? It requires 4 elements: clarity, consistency, conviction, and detachment. First, clarity. You must know precisely what you desire. Vague wishes produce vague results. Define your desire in vivid detail. See it, feel it, touch it in your imagination. Make it as real to your senses as the chair you sit upon. I recall working with a young woman who wanted to find her ideal partner. When I asked her to describe this person, she gave only the most general description. Someone kind, she said, someone who loves me. I told her your focus lacks definition. Sharpen your vision. What values must this person embody? How do you feel in their presence? What kind of life do you share together? As she brought her desire to sharper focus, her manifestation accelerated. Second, consistency. A focused mind is one that returns again and again to the same assumption, building conviction through repetition. The world has changed not by sporadic bursts of imagination, but by the groove worn deep by consistent focus. Think of it this way. If you plant a seed and dig it up each day to check its progress, it will never grow. Similarly, if you assume your desire one moment, then return to the old state the next, you uproot the seed of manifestation before it can take root. Consistency of focus allows the seed to flourish unseen until it breaks through into expression. Consider the story in Scripture of the prophet Elijah. He sent his servant 7 times to look for signs of rain during a drought. The servant saw nothing 6 times, but Elijah maintained his focus, knowing the rain would come. On the 7th time, the servant reported seeing a small cloud. From this tiny manifestation came abundant rain. Had Elijah abandoned his focus after the first or second attempt, the manifestation would have been aborted. Third, conviction. It is not enough to think about your desire, you must think from it. This is faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Conviction is the feeling that your desire is done, finished, complete in the invisible realm, and must, by law, appear in your visible world. Let me tell you of a man I knew who desired a promotion at work. For months, nothing happened, though he affirmed his desire daily. When I spoke with him, I discovered that he was affirming from a place of doubt. He was saying the words but did not believe them. I told him, you must convince yourself first. You must reach such conviction that even if the whole world denied it, you would stand unshaken in your assumption. He began to imagine each night, just before sleep, that his colleagues were congratulating him on his promotion. He felt their handshakes, heard their words, felt the joy in his heart. He did this with complete conviction, as though experiencing a memory rather than creating a fantasy. Within 3 weeks, he received the promotion, a position that had not even existed when he began his focused work. Fourth, detachment. This seems paradoxical, but true focus includes the ability to detach from the how and when of manifestation. Attachment creates anxiety, and anxiety dilutes focus. When you truly know that your desire is yours, you can release the urgency and desperate longing that indicates lack of faith. Detachment means you plant the seed, water it with attention, and then allow the invisible forces of creation to do their perfect work without interference. It is the opposite of indifference. It is supreme confidence that what is done in consciousness must appear in reality. Now, let me address a question that may have formed in your mind. If focus is so powerful, why do I sometimes focus intently on something and still not receive it? The answer is simple but profound. Your conscious focus must be aligned with your subconscious assumptions. You see, your subconscious mind holds beliefs about yourself and the world that may contradict your conscious wishes. And it is the subconscious that truly determines your focus. You may consciously focus on wealth while subconsciously believing you are unworthy of abundance. In such a case, your true focus, your subconscious focus, is on unworthiness, not on wealth. This is why I teach the technique of feeling the wish fulfilled as you fall asleep. In the drowsy state between wakefulness and sleep, the conscious mind relaxes its guard and the subconscious becomes receptive to new impressions. Impress upon your subconscious the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and your entire being, conscious and subconscious, will align in perfect focus. Let me tell you a personal story. Years ago, I desired to travel and lecture throughout the United States, sharing these principles with all who'd listen. At the time, I had no means, no connections, no invitations. But each night, I would fall asleep feeling the satisfaction of having completed successful lectures across the country. I felt the handshakes, heard the applause, experienced the gratitude of those whose lives had been transformed. I maintained this focus not for a night or a week, but consistently, and though the way was not immediately apparent, doors began to open. An invitation came from one city, then another. The means for travel appeared. Within a year, what had existed only in my focused imagination became my living reality. The Bible says, "The light of the body is the eye. The light of the body is the eye." This is not speaking of the physical eye, but a focus where you place your attention. If therefore thine eye be single, if your focus be undivided, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if your focus is scattered, divided between what is and what could be, between faith and doubt, how great is that darkness? This is why a new level of focus is required for manifestation, not the ordinary focus that shifts and wavers with circumstances, but a transcendent focus that remains fixed on the invisible reality of your desire until it solidifies in the visible world. Now, there is a certain practice that I have found invaluable for developing this transcendent focus. Each day, preferably in the morning when your mind is fresh, and in the evening before sleep, enter into a state of relaxation. Let your body become comfortable and your mind still. Then direct your attention inward to the center of your being, to that place where you know yourself to be I am. From this center, consciously choose where to place your focus. See your desire as accomplished. Step into the scene. Make it first person, present tense. Do not see it as something that will happen. Experience it as something that is happening now. Involve all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? Even what would you taste or smell in the state of your wish fulfilled? Remain in this state for at least 5 minutes, fully absorbed in the reality of your desire fulfilled. Then, throughout your day, when doubts arise, the old patterns of thought return, as they surely will gently bring your focus back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This consistent redirection of focus is the discipline that leads to mastery. Let me share with you the testimony of a student who applied this principle of focused imagination. She had been estranged from her adult son for nearly a decade. No communication, no reconciliation despite many attempts. She came to understand that her focus had been on the estrangement itself, on the pain of separation, on all the reasons why reconciliation seemed impossible. I instructed her to shift her focus completely. Each night I told her, as you lie down to sleep, imagine hearing your son's voice on the telephone. Hear him express his love for you. Feel the warmth in your heart as reconciliation occurs. Fall asleep in this state. For 1 month, she maintained this focus with unwavering consistency. She reported that at first it was painful, as it highlighted the absence of what she desired, but gradually the imaginal scene began to feel more natural, more real. Then one day, without any action on her part, the telephone rang. It was her son. The conversation mirrored what she had been imagining, even specific phrases she had heard in her imaginal scene. You see, her new level of focus had reconstructed her reality. She did not convince her son to call. She simply shifted the focus of her own consciousness, and all parties involved in her reality rearranged themselves to match her new focus. This is the creative power that sleeps within you. You are not a helpless observer of your life. You are its author. But authorship requires focused attention on the story you wish to write. Now, some of you may be thinking, this sounds like magical thinking. The world is real, solid, governed by physical laws, and to this I say the physical universe is indeed governed by law, but it is the law of consciousness, not the laws of physics, that is fundamental. Physics describes the behavior of manifestation. Consciousness is the source of what manifests. Science itself is now confirming what the mystics have always known, that matter is not solid but is mostly empty space, that of article populating and out of existence, that observation of behavior of particles. In other words, focused conscious attention directly impacts physical reality. Quantum physics speaks of the observer effect, where the mere act of observation changes the behavior of subatomic particles. Is this not precisely what I am describing? Your focus, your observation, changes the very fabric of your reality. Think about it this way, your world is not outside you. The world you experience is a projection from within, filtered through your focus. Change your focus and you change the projection. This is not fantasy, this is the fundamental nature of reality. Consider the placebo effect, scientifically documented countless times. A patient believes they are receiving medicine, though they are given a sugar pill, and their body responds as though they received the actual medicine. Their focus, their belief, created physiological changes. This is not anomalous, it is a glimpse into the true creative process. But here is where many stumble. They try to use the power of focus as a technique, while still believing in the supremacy of external conditions. They affirm abundance while believing in the reality of their limitation. They visualize health while believing in the power of their disease. Their focus is divided, and a divided focus cannot create coherently. A new level of focus requires a new understanding of the nature of reality. You must grasp, not intellectually but experientially, that the world shapes itself around your focus. As within, so without. As above, so below. This is the Hermetic principle that has been taught through the ages. Let me offer a practical exercise to develop this new level of focus. I call it living from the end. For the next 30 days, choose one desire that you wish to manifest. Make it something believable to you, yet not currently present in your life. Each morning upon waking, each evening before sleeping, and at least once during the day, close your eyes and enter the state of your wish fulfilled. Experience it with all your senses. Feel the emotion that accompanies its fulfillment. Give thanks for its completion. Then open your eyes and proceed with your day, but maintain the feeling that your desire is already accomplished. When you speak, speak from this assumption. When you act, act from this assumption. When you think from this assumption. At first, this will require conscious effort. You will catch yourself reverting to old patterns of focus. When this happens, do not condemn yourself. Simply notice and gently bring your focus back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Persistence is key. Remember, you are establishing a new pattern of focus. And all new patterns require repetition until they become automatic. After 30 days of this practice, your subconscious mind will begin to accept your new focus as reality. And when the subconscious accepts something as real, it must externalize it in your experience. This is law. Now, I must address a critical point. This new level of focus cannot coexist with fear, worry, or anxiety. These emotional states indicate focus on what you do not want, and what you focus on expands. When fear arises, it will recognize it as a signal that your focus has shifted to an undesired outcome. Then, consciously redirect your focus to the desired state. There is a passage in Scripture that beautifully illustrates this principle. Jesus was with his disciples in a boat when a storm arose. The disciples were terrified, focusing on the dangers of the storm. Jesus was asleep, undisturbed. When they woke him, he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. Then he said to his disciples, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" The disciples' focus was on the storm, on what they feared. Jesus' focus remained on perfect peace and safety, regardless of appearances. His unwavering focus on the desired state calmed the waters. This is not merely a historical account or a miracle performed by someone special. It is a demonstration of the power available to anyone who maintains the proper focus. You are not required to calm literal storms, but you are called to calm the storms of circumstance in your life through proper focus. When the evidence of your senses contradicts your desire, will you focus on the temporary facts or on the eternal truth of your creative power? There is another aspect of focus that is rarely discussed, but vitally important. Your focus should not only be on the fulfillment of your desire, but on the consciousness of already being the person who has that desire fulfilled. In other words, focus on being, not just having. If you desire wealth, focus not merely on having money, but on being wealthy in consciousness. How does a wealthy person think? How do they feel about money? How do they make decisions? Focus on embodying these qualities now, regardless of your current financial situation. If you desire a loving relationship, focus not merely on finding a specific person, but on being loving in consciousness. How does a person who is deeply loved and loving think? How do they feel? How do they interact with others? Embody these qualities now, and the specific manifestation will follow. This shift from having to being is a profound one. It moves your focus from external conditions to internal states where true creative power resides. External conditions will always change and can be lost. What you become in consciousness is eternal and can never be taken from you. I knew a woman who desperately wanted to be married. Her focus was entirely on finding a husband, as though a piece of herself was missing and needed to be found externally. Despite numerous relationships, fulfillment eluded her. When we spoke, I suggested that she shift her focus from finding love to being loved, to embodying the consciousness of someone in a loving, fulfilling marriage. She began to focus on feeling complete within herself, appreciating her own company, making decisions from a place of partnership, even while physically alone. Within her own consciousness, she lived as though her perfect marriage was already a reality. She focused on gratitude for her wonderful husband, though no physical man was present. Within 3 months, she met a man who perfectly matched the consciousness she had been embodying. Their connection was immediate and deep, and they married within a year. But here is the interesting part. She later told me that even if she hadn't met him, she had already found what she was truly seeking, the feeling of completeness, connection, and love that she thought could only come from a relationship. This is the paradox of manifestation through focus. When you focus on lacking something and needing to get it, you perpetuate the consciousness of lack. When you focus on already being and having what you desire, you establish the consciousness of fulfillment, and the external must follow suit. Let us return to the core of our discussion. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus, not the divided, wavering focus of the undisciplined mind, but the single-pointed, unwavering focus of one who knows their creative power. This focus is not strain or tense. It is the natural absorption in a beloved idea. It is falling in love with your vision so completely that it occupies your mind effortlessly. This kind of focus generates energy rather than depletes it. I urge you to take inventory of where your focus currently resides. What occupies your mental attention throughout the day? What thoughts do you return to habitually? What emotions dominate your inner landscape? These are the seeds that are growing into the circumstances of your life. If you do not like what you see manifesting in your experience, do not waste energy fighting against it or resisting it. All resistance amplifies. Instead, shift your focus completely to what you desire to experience. Give it your attention, your emotion, your conviction. Water this new seed with consistent focus until it crowds out the unwanted growth. Remember, the external world has no power over you except the power you give it through your focus. When you know this, truly know it, not just intellectually, but in the depths of your being, you become the master of your faith, the captain of your soul. Now there is one final aspect of focus I must address, and it is perhaps the most important. The highest use of this creative power is not for material gain or personal advantage, though these are natural byproducts. The highest use is for the expansion of consciousness itself, for the realization that you are more than you appear to be. Focus ultimately on the grandest version of yourself, on the divine potential that sleeps within you. Focus on embodying love, wisdom, compassion, creativity. Focus on expressing the fullness of your being, for in the end all external desires are merely symbols of the one true desire. To know yourself as a divine in expression, to experience yourself as the creative principle of the universe. When your focus shifts to this ultimate reality, all lesser manifestations arrange themselves harmoniously. You receive not only what you consciously desire, but what serves the highest expression of your being. You transcend the limitations of personal will and align with divine will, which always leads to greater freedom, greater joy, greater fulfillment than the personal mind could imagine. So I say to you tonight, everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Not more effort, not more struggle, not more sacrifice, but a new quality and direction of attention. Focus determines experience. Focus on problems and problems multiply. Focus on solutions and solutions appear. Focus on lack and lack persists. Focus on abundance and abundance grows. Focus on love and love surrounds you. Focus on limitation and you remain confined. Focus on possibility and your world expands. The choice is always yours in each moment. Your power is not in some distant future when conditions improve. Your power is now in the focus you choose in this moment and the next after that. Begin tonight. As you leave this place, consciously direct your focus to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Maintain this focus despite all evidence to the contrary. Return to when you waver. Strengthen it when you doubt. Live from it when appearances mock it, and watch as the invisible gradually becomes visible as your focus creates your reality. You are the operant power in your universe. You are the focus through which the infinite expresses itself. You are not merely human, you are divine, and your focus is the instrument of your divinity. Feel it now. Know it now. Live from it now, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. Remember the words of the Psalm, "Be still and know that I am God." In that perfect stillness of mind, in that single-pointed focus of the divine within, all things become possible. For when you truly know that the I am within you is God, there is nothing to fear, nothing impossible, nothing beyond your creative reach. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Give yourself that gift. Focus on the highest, the best, the most beautiful and true. Focus as though your fulfillment depends upon it, because it does. The world awaits your focus command. Speak it with conviction. Feel it with emotion. Know it with certainty and watch as the universe conspires to bring it into being. For this is the law and this is the promise. As within, so without. As above, so below. As you focus, so shall it be. Tonight you have been given the key. Use it wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it with conviction, and all that you desire shall be added unto you. When you leave this place, do not return to old patterns of thought. Maintain your new awareness, your new focus. For you have not heard these words by accident. You were drawn here by your own readiness to receive this truth. Now, having received it, you must live it. Go forth in the confidence that the creative power of the universe flows through you, that your focus directs this power, and that as you maintain your focus on the fulfillment of your desires, nothing can prevent their manifestation. I have shared with you the secret of creation itself. Honor it with your practice. Prove it with your experience and share it through your transformed life. Everything you desire requires a new level of focus. Begin now and make this the foundation of a new and glorious chapter in your journey. For you are meant to have all that your heart truly desires, not through struggle and strain, but through the focused power of your divine imagination. Now let us close our eyes for a moment and feel the absolute truth of these words. Feel the presence of your fulfilled desire as a present reality. Know that it is done. Give thanks for its completion and carry this feeling with you as you go forward, maintaining your focus on the invisible reality until it becomes visible for all to see. Thank you and blessings on your journey of conscious creation. The world would have you believe that transformation requires fanfare, that success demands announcement, that change must be visible to be real. How wrong they are. The mightiest oak grows in silence, its roots deepening without applause, its branches reaching toward heaven without ceremony. The same principle governs your own becoming. You must learn to build yourself quietly, deliberately, with the same unwavering faith that governs the cycles of nature itself. Tonight, I share with you 5 ways, not suggestions, not possibilities, but absolute methods by which you can construct the life you desire without seeking permission from the world, without requiring validation from others, without waiting for circumstances to align with your wishes. These are not mere techniques, they are fundamental laws of consciousness that properly applied will transform your entire existence from within. The first way you must master is the art of assumption without announcement. You see, most people make the grave error of announcing their intentions before they have established them in consciousness. They declare to the world what they plan to become, what they intend to achieve, what they hope to manifest. But I tell you, the moment you announce your desire to others, you have weakened its power. You have invited dark criticism and the limited beliefs of others to contaminate the pure seed of your intention. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and this is the cornerstone of all manifestation, you must do so in the sacred privacy of your own mind. You must feel yourself to be what you desire to be, not what you hope to become, not what you are working toward, but what you already are in the realm of imagination. This assumption must be worn like an invisible garment, known only to you in the creative principle that responds to your every mental state. I have watched countless individuals destroy their own manifestations by sharing their inner work with others before it had time to take root in their subconscious mind. They would assume the state of their fulfilled desire, feel the reality of it, live in its truth. Then, in a moment of excitement or need for validation, they would share their inner experience with someone who could not possibly understand. The doubt of others, the skepticism of the unawakened, would then enter their consciousness like a virus, undermining the very foundation they had been building. Your assumptions about yourself and your life must be protected like precious seeds in fertile soil. They must be nurtured in darkness before they can emerge into the light. When you assume that you are already the person you desire to be, whether that is wealthy, successful, loved, healthy, or free, this assumption must be your secret. It must be lived inwardly with such conviction that it begins to reshape your entire sense of self. The power of assumption lies not in hoping or wishing, but in feeling. You must feel yourself to be what you desire to be with the same naturalness that you feel yourself to be who you are right now. If you desire wealth, you must feel wealthy. Not hopeful about wealth, not working toward wealth, but actually wealthy in your consciousness. This feeling, when sustained and protected from the contradictory evidence of the senses and the opinions of others, will inevitably externalize itself in your experience. But remember, the moment you announce this inner assumption to others before it has manifested, you open it to their limited beliefs about what is possible for you. They will judge your assumption based on your current circumstances, your past history, your apparent limitations. Their doubt becomes a force that works against your inner certainty. And unless your faith is absolutely unshakable, their disbelief will contaminate your assumption. This is why the wise build in silence. They know that the creative power responds to feeling, not to explanation. They understand that consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is simply a reflection of consciousness. When you change your consciousness about yourself quietly, without fanfare, without announcement, you give your new assumption time to take root and grow strong before it encounters the resistance of the outer world. The second way you must embrace is the practice of mental rehearsal in solitude. Your imagination is not a luxury, it is the very workshop of creation. Every day you must set aside time to retreat into the sanctuary of your mind and live from the end of your desire. This is not daydreaming. This is conscious creation. This is the deliberate use of your imagination to impress upon your subconscious mind the reality of your fulfilled vision. In the quietness of your private moments, you must construct scenes that imply the fulfillment of your desire. If you desire success in your career, you must imagine scenes that would naturally occur if that success were already yours. Feel the congratulations of colleagues. Experience yourself in the position you desire. Handle the responsibilities that come with your achieved goal. Make these imaginal acts so vivid, so real, so natural that they feel more real than your current circumstances. The key to effective mental rehearsal is not to imagine yourself getting what you want, but to imagine yourself having what you want. There is a crucial difference. When you imagine yourself getting something, you are affirming that you do not yet have it. You are living in the consciousness of lack, of wanting, of striving. But when you imagine yourself having what you desire, when you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the reality of possession, not the experience of acquisition. This mental rehearsal must be done in solitude because it requires complete focus and uninterrupted feeling. In the presence of others, your attention is divided. You cannot fully immerse yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled when part of your consciousness is concerned with how you appear to others. Solitude gives you the freedom to experience your imaginal acts with the intensity and reality necessary to impress them upon your subconscious mind. During these periods of mental rehearsal, you must engage all of your senses. You must see the scenes of your fulfilled desire, hear the sounds that would accompany your success, feel the textures and temperatures of your new reality, even smell and taste the environment of your achieved goal. The more sensory detail you can include in your imaginal acts, the more real they become to your subconscious mind, which cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual physical experience. But beyond the sensory details, you must cultivate the emotional reality of your fulfilled desire. You must feel the satisfaction, the joy, the peace, the confidence that would naturally accompany the realization of your goal. This emotional component is absolutely crucial and is the language of the subconscious mind, your subconscious response not to your thoughts, but to your feelings. When you can generate the authentic feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have communicated your desire to the creative principle in the only language it understands. The beauty of mental rehearsal in solitude is that it allows you to perfect your desired state before it manifests externally. You can practice being the person you want to become until that state of being becomes natural to you. You can rehearse your success until confidence becomes your default setting. You can experience your desired relationships until love becomes your predominant feeling. In the privacy of your imagination, you can become accustomed to living from the end so that when your desire manifests in the physical world, you are ready to receive it naturally. This brings us to the third way, the cultivation of inner dialogue transformation. Most people are completely unconscious of the conversation that runs constantly through their minds. They allow their inner dialogue to be random, reactive, and often destructive. But I tell you, your inner conversation is the most powerful creative force in your life. Every word you speak to yourself, every statement you make about yourself in the privacy of your mind is an instruction to your subconscious mind. Your inner dialogue is literally creating your experience moment by moment, day by day. If you desire to build yourself quietly, you must take complete control of your inner conversation. You must become the conscious director of your mental chatter. Instead of allowing your mind to repeat the same old stories about your limitations, your problems, your fears, you must deliberately choose thoughts that align with your desired reality. Your inner dialogue must reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you have been. This transformation of inner dialogue must happen in the quiet moments when you are alone with your thoughts, when you are driving, when you are falling asleep, when you are performing routine tasks that do not require your full attention. Your mind naturally turns inward. These are the precious moments when you can practice new patterns of thinking, when you can rehearse the inner conversation of your ideal self. Instead of thinking thoughts like, I can't afford this, or this never works for me, or I'm not good enough, you must consciously choose thoughts that assume your desired reality is already true. You must think from the end, not toward the end. Your inner dialogue must reflect the consciousness of someone who already has what you desire, who already is what you want to become. If you desire financial abundance, your inner dialogue must be that of a financially abundant person. Instead of worrying about money, you must think thoughts of gratitude for your financial security. Instead of fear about the future, you must maintain inner conversations about your wise investments and multiple income streams. This is not pretending or lying to yourself. This is choosing to live from the consciousness of your fulfilled desire, rather than from the consciousness of your current limitations. The power of inner dialogue transformation lies in its cumulative effect. Every thought you think, every Jamaica statement you make is adding to the overall impression you are making upon your subconscious mind. When you consistently maintain inner conversations that align with your desired reality, you are literally programming your subconscious to accept that reality as true. Your subconscious mind, being completely impersonal and utterly faithful, will then work to make your outer experience conform to your inner convictions. But this inner work must be done quietly, privately, consistently. It cannot be a part-time effort or a casual experiment. Your inner dialogue is operating 24 hours a day, whether you are conscious of it or not. If you want to transform your life, you must take conscious control of this inner conversation and maintain that control consistently over time. The fourth way is perhaps the most challenging for most people, the mastery of emotional independence. You see, most individuals are emotional slaves to their circumstances. They feel good when things go well and feel bad when things go poorly. Their emotional state is entirely dependent upon external conditions, other people's behavior, and the random events of daily life. But this emotional dependency is the greatest obstacle to conscious creation. To build yourself quietly, you must develop the ability to maintain your desired emotional state regardless of external circumstances. You must become emotionally independent of the world around you. This does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means choosing your emotional state based on your inner vision rather than your outer conditions. When you are living from the end, when you are assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, your emotional state must reflect that assumption consistently. If you have assumed that you are successful, you must feel successful, even when your bank account says otherwise. If you have assumed that you are loved, you must feel lovable even when others seem to reject you. If you have assumed that you are healthy, you must feel vital and well even when your body presents symptoms of illness. This emotional independence is developed through daily practice in the privacy of your own consciousness. When you notice yourself reacting emotionally to external circumstances in a way that contradicts your assumed state, you must immediately return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You must refuse to let temporary conditions determine your permanent emotional stance. The key to mastering emotional independence is understanding that your feelings create your experience, not the other way around. Most people have this backwards. They believe that circumstances create their feelings, but the truth is that their feelings create their circumstances. When you maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled, regardless of current conditions, you are impressing upon the creative principle the very feeling that will externalize your new reality. This emotional mastery cannot be achieved through willpower or positive thinking alone. It requires a fundamental shift in your understanding of causation. You must recognize that consciousness is the only reality and that everything else is simply a reflection of consciousness. When you truly understand this principle, you realize that changing your external world is simply a matter of changing your internal world. You begin to see circumstances not as causes, but as effects, not as realities, but as reflections. In the quietness of your daily life, you must practice holding your desired emotional state even when, especially when your sense is contradicted. This is the true test of faith. Anyone can feel successful when success is evident. Anyone can feel loved when love is apparent. Anyone can feel healthy when health is obvious. But the conscious creator maintains these feelings even when the opposite appears to be true. This emotional independence gradually builds a kind of inner strength that is unshakable. You begin to realize that your happiness, your peace, your confidence, your joy are not dependent upon anyone or anything outside of yourself. You discover that you can generate any feeling you choose simply by assuming the state that naturally produces that feeling. This realization is incredibly liberating and incredibly empowering. The fifth and final way is the development of what I call selective attention through conscious ignorance. This may sound paradoxical, but it is absolutely essential for building yourself quietly. You must develop the ability to ignore what contradicts your assumption and to notice only what confirms it. This is not self-deception. This is the conscious direction of attention toward the reality you are creating. Your attention is your most precious resource. Whatever you consistently pay attention to grows in your experience. If you pay attention to lack, lack grows. If you pay attention to problems, problems multiply. If you pay attention to what is wrong in your life, more wrongness appears. But if you pay attention to abundance, abundance increases. If you pay attention to solutions, solutions manifest. If you pay attention to what is right in your life, more rightness emerges. The practice of selective attention requires you to become consciously ignorant of anything that contradicts your desired reality. When you see evidence that seems to oppose your assumption, you must look away. When people speak words that contradict your inner conviction, you must not let those words enter your consciousness. When circumstances appear to deny your wish fulfilled, you must refuse to acknowledge their reality. This is not about being naive or refusing to deal with practical matters. This is about recognizing that your attention is creative and choosing to focus it only on what you want to create. In the quietness of your daily life, you must train yourself to notice only what supports your assumption and to ignore what opposes it. For example, if you have assumed that you are financially prosperous, you must notice every sign of prosperity in your life, no matter how small. You must pay attention to the money you do have, not the money you lack. You must focus on opportunities for income, not obstacles to wealth. You must observe examples of prosperity in front of you, not exam poverty. This selective attention gradually shifts your entire perception of reality. At the same time, you must develop conscious ignorance of anything that contradicts your assumption of prosperity. When bills arrive, you do not deny their existence. but you do not dwell on them or allow them to generate feelings of lack. When others complain about financial difficulties, you do not join in their conversation. When the news reports economic problems, you turn your attention elsewhere. You become consciously ignorant of lack because you understand that whatever you focus on expands in your experience. This practice of selective attention must be maintained consistently and quietly. You cannot announce to others that you are ignoring certain aspects of reality because they will think you are being unrealistic or irresponsible. But in the privacy of your consciousness, you must be absolutely ruthless about protecting your attention from anything that contradicts your desired reality. The development of selective attention through conscious ignorance requires great discipline at first, but it becomes natural with practice. You begin to automatically filter out contradictory evidence and automatically notice supporting evidence. Your perception begins to align with your assumption, and as your perception changes, your experience follows. This selective attention also applies to your memory. You must learn to remember only those experiences that support your current assumption and to forget those that contradict it. This is not about lying to yourself about the past. This is about choosing which aspects of your past to keep alive in your consciousness. You must remember your successes and forget your failures. You must remember when you felt loved and forget when you felt rejected. You must remember when you felt confident and forget when you felt insecure. Your memory is not a factual record of events. It is a selective interpretation of experiences. By consciously choosing what to remember and what to forget, you are literally reshaping your identity. You are building a new sense of self based on the experiences that support who you are becoming rather than who you have been. These 5 ways: assumption without announcement, mental rehearsal in solitude, inner dialogue transformation, emotional independence, and selective attention through conscious ignorance are not separate techniques, but interconnected aspects of a single practice. The conscious creation of reality through the disciplined use of imagination and feeling. When you assume without announcement, you protect your desired reality from the contradictory beliefs of others. When you rehearse mentally in solitude, you make your desire of reality familiar and natural to your consciousness. When you transform your inner dialogue, you continuously reinforce your new assumptions. When you develop emotional independence, you maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled regardless of circumstances. When you practice selective attention through conscious ignorance, you gradually shift your entire perception to align with your desire of reality. These practices must be maintained quietly, consistently, persistently. They cannot be intermittent efforts or casual experiments. They must become your way of life, your natural approach to consciousness, your automatic response to every situation. In the silence of your daily existence away from the noise and distraction of the world, you must work on yourself with the same dedication that a craftsman works on his masterpiece. The beauty of building yourself quietly is that it allows your transformation to happen naturally without resistance, without opposition. When you announce your intentions to the world, you invite argument. When you try to change your external circumstances directly, you encounter resistance. But when you work on yourself internally, quietly, consistently, your external world has no choice but to conform to your inner transformation. Most people approach life backwards. They try to change their circumstances in order to change how they feel. They try to get love in order to feel lovable. They try to get money in order to feel secure. They try to get recognition in order to feel worthy. But this approach puts them at the mercy of external conditions over which they have no direct control. The conscious creator reverses this process. Instead of trying to get in order to feel, you feel in order to get. Instead of trying to become in order to be, you be in order to become. You start with consciousness, with imagination, and you let the external world rearrange itself to match your inner state. This is why building yourself quietly is so powerful. It allows you to work directly with the creative principle without interference from the limiting beliefs of others or the contradictory evidence of your senses. In the sanctuary of your own consciousness, you can assume any identity, experience any reality, feel any emotion. You can literally be anyone you choose to be and experience anything you choose to experience. But this inner work must be balanced with outer action when such action is inspired. Building yourself quietly does not mean becoming passive or inactive. It means that your actions flow from your assumptions rather than from your circumstances. When you have assumed the consciousness of your desired reality, You will be naturally inspired to take actions that align with that consciousness. But these actions will feel effortless and natural because they will be expressions of who you have become in consciousness rather than desperate attempts to become who you want to be. The person who builds themselves quietly becomes a mystery to the world. Others cannot understand how they remain so calm in the midst of chaos, so confident in the face of apparent obstacles, so joyful despite difficult circumstances. They cannot see the inner work that is being done, the assumptions that are being maintained, the reality that is being created in consciousness. This mystery is part of the power. When people cannot understand the source of your transformation, they cannot interfere with it. When they cannot see the work you are doing, they cannot judge it or contradict it. When they cannot comprehend your inner certainty, they cannot shake it with their doubt. The 5 ways I have shared with you tonight are not theoretical concepts to be intellectually understood. They are practical methods to be daily applied. They are not suggestions for your consideration, but imperatives for your transformation. If you truly desire to change your life, if you genuinely want to become the person you were meant to be, if you sincerely seek to manifest your deepest desires, then you must commit yourself to these practices with unwavering dedication. Start tonight. Begin immediately. In the privacy of your own room, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel yourself to be what you desire to be. Do not announce this assumption to anyone. Guard it like a precious secret. Rehearse it in your imagination until it feels completely natural. Transform your inner dialogue to reflect this new reality. Maintain the emotional state of your assumed identity regardless of external circumstances. Direct your attention only toward evidence that supports your assumption and ignore everything that contradicts it. Do this quietly, consistently, persistently. Do it when others are sleeping, when the world is distracted, when you are alone with your thoughts. Make these practices your secret discipline, your hidden strength, your private power. Build yourself in the silence and let the world discover your transformation when it manifests in undeniable reality. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is simply consciousness externalized, consciousness made visible, consciousness expressed in form. When you change your consciousness, you change your world. When you assume a new identity in consciousness, you will express that identity and experience. When you feel yourself to be what you desire to be, you will find yourself living as what you desire to be. This is not a matter of belief or faith in the conventional sense. This is a matter of understanding and application. Just as you do not need to believe in the law of gravity to experience its effects, you do not need to believe in these principles to benefit from their application. They work whether you believe in them or not because they are fundamental laws of consciousness, not religious doctrines or philosophical theories. The only requirement is that you apply them consistently and with understanding. You must understand that imagination is reality, that feeling is the secret, that consciousness is the only cause. You must understand that your external world is always a perfect reflection of your internal world, that your experiences are always consistent with your assumptions, that your life is always expressing your consciousness. With this understanding, you have no choice but to take complete responsibility for your life. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or external conditions for your experiences. You must recognize that you are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality, the architect of your own destiny. This recognition is simultaneously humbling and empowering. It is humbling because it means you cannot blame anyone else for what you do not like in your life. It is empowering because it means you have the power to change anything you do not like in your life. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your circumstances. Tonight, as you leave this place and return to your daily life, carry with you the knowledge that you have within you right now, everything you need to transform your existence completely. You do not need anyone's permission, anyone's approval, anyone's assistance. You need only the willingness to assume the consciousness of your reality and to maintain that assumption until it hardens into fact. Build yourself quietly, work on yourself in secret, transform yourself in silence. Let the world discover your new reality when it manifests, but do not seek their approval for your inner work. Do not require their understanding of your methods. Do not need their validation of your assumptions. You are consciousness expressing itself in human form. You have within you the same creative power that brought the universe into existence. You can speak worlds into being with your imagination. You can feel realities into manifestation with your emotions. You can assume identities that will inevitably express themselves in your experience. The 5 ways I have shared with you are your tools, your methods, your daily practices. Use them faithfully, apply them consistently, trust them completely. In the quietness of your disciplined consciousness, build the life you desire, become the person you were meant to be, and manifest the reality that matches your highest vision of yourself. Your transformation begins now in this moment with your next assumption about yourself. Make it a magnificent assumption. Make it worthy of who you truly are. Make it consistent with your deepest desires and your highest potential. Then guard it, nurture it, maintain it, and live from it until it becomes your undeniable reality. This is your power. This is your responsibility. This is your opportunity. View yourself quietly and let your light speak louder than your words ever could.